talks to the people all night long, chatting and a-gabbing and a-singing her song. All the divas down on Rainbow Street love to hear Toni go tweet, tweet, tweet. Talking Toni.
Tweet, tweet,
Talk, talking Toni.
tweet, tweet,
Oh, talking Toni really gonna talk tonight.
tweet, tweet.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Toni with me, Toni Homeperm, the singing diva of Long Island. This is my show on Strong Island TV, where I get to speak to some of the many, many, many fabulous people around the world now because we do it with Zoom. Joining me today, all the way from Los Angeles, Peter Marc Jacobson. Hi, Peter.
How are you?
I am terrific. How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. Nice to see you. Thanks
So
for
nice.
having me on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for agreeing to doing this. So many of the things that you have either executive produced, appeared in, directed, written, created, I'm such a fan of, especially, of course, The Nanny. I mean, and as I told you, I'm serving Sylvia Fine realness for you tonight.
Yes, you
Peter.
are. Excellent job. Excellent. I
Uh,
call that the tidal wave hairdo.
The
That's
tidal
why
wave, right? Yes, whoosh.
The whole family had it. And I used to say, just do the tidal wave. So they all look the same.
Look, Peter. I even have a Sylvia Fine pocketbook. Look. I've got Morty's hair. It's Morty's toupee. See? And look, because Peter, I have low blood sugar.
You get hungry.
So, sometimes, at the gig, you need a nosh, Peter.
You need a little peanut butter.
What can I tell you, Peter? But Peter, enough about me. What do you think about me? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, of course. Now, Peter, many people know you as being the ex-husband of Fran Drescher. Okay, we all know it. It's out there. It's fine.
When you come out on Oprah, it usually travels.
That's right. Yes. Oprah's there telling you. You can just tell me. No, but no, it's just between us.
Between
No
me and Oprah.
one will know, except the 30 million people watching. But
Exactly.
but she's Oprah. She can get away with it. But Peter, I really want to know about you. Now, Peter, this love of entertainment, when did that start for you?
I think, my parents used to take me to the theater on Broadway for holidays, for like my birthday and Christmas. And twice a year we'd go see a show. And I just fell in love with it. My dream was to be on Broadway someday and produce Broadway someday and do sitcoms. And I just became obsessed with television and theater, and that whole life just was so exciting to me. I didn't know what it was when I was a little kid, but it just in my head, I wanted to do that. And, I studied it. I went to a special high school and pretty much immersed myself in it my whole life. And when I was, 18 years old and I graduated high school, I started doing TV commercials. And I met Fran at 15, so we both started doing them and modeling a little bit, and then doing television spots on sitcoms and things like that once I went to Los Angeles. So, it's something I always wanted to do, and I was lucky enough to get to do it. Now,
Peter, when you told your parents, and now we're going back here to the East Coast, this was Flushing. When you told your parents, Mom, Dad, I want to be an actor, was there any?
Get them off the floor. They said, well, then you better have something to fall back on.
To fall back on? That's what I was going to ask. Were they like, you have to have something to fall back on?
Of course, and they sent us to beauty school.
Oh.
Yes, because that was well, they didn't send us. They said you have to have something. So beauty school was the quickest way to get a license to have something to fall back on. So we used to cut people's hair to make some money because, you know, if you go into show business to make money, not the best idea.
Right.
Unless you happen to hit it, and, you know, but in the beginning, it's very difficult. And even after, it can stop. So always have a way to make money on the side. So
That's
even
right.
today, I know how to cut hair so I can cut my own hair during this pandemic.
See, now my husband, he's a licensed beautician, and as I was telling you before we started, he does my wigs. He does wigs for many drag queens on Long Island. He's a licensed beautician, and he probably was in school like around the same time that you were. Did you learn like the old school, like the roller sets and all that?
I mean, it was 1972, I think, or something like that. Or something like that. And yeah, I mean, it was the old school, your hairdo. That's it. That was what everybody walked out looking like when I touched them. And
the higher the hair, the closer to God.
Yeah, that's right. Or the smaller the hips. Fran was better at cutting men's hair, so she would cut men's hair, and I would make them look like Sylvia Fine. And, so that was our specialty. We didn't do it for long. In fact, we didn't even take the test. We didn't take the test because she got a movie, American Hot Wax, and I was doing television commercials. And so we were making money enough to get by. Not a lot.
What were some of the commercials you did, Peter? I have to know.
I did that. I don't know if you remember that commercial where it was for a Honda del Sol, where this guy walks like in the wind to this green Honda del Sol, and he gets in, and all of a sudden all the wind stops because it was a convertible, and you don't get your hair messed up in it. So it was stuff like that. I did Right Guard. I did Lifesavers. I did potato chips. I did lots of TV commercials. I mean, lots.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very lucky because for an actor back then, you could actually make a living doing that because they would pay you well. And now they do a lot of buyouts, and you don't get paid anywhere near what a national commercial used to pay you back in the Stone Age.
Now, Peter, I'm like one of those crazy girlfriends when I'm going to have a guest on, someone like you. I scour that IMDb like nobody's business. Let me tell you. Now, I saw one of the very first things you did was an episode of Wonder Woman with Linda Carter.
That was the very first thing I did.
That was the very first. Okay, so we're going all the way back to the beginning, baby.
Yeah, I think I was like 19 years old. I weighed about 8 pounds. And I played like this this fan of science fiction at some science fiction convention.
Yes, it was a sci-fi convention episode.
Yeah, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what I was saying, but I was so happy to get the job. I didn't really get it, and because I never watched the people we were playing. But I got paid. It got me in, and it got me my first job.
Well,
very grateful.
Well, yes, and back then you were just Peter Marc.
Yes,
I noticed. You were not Peter Marc Jacobson. You were just Peter Marc.
When I became a writer, Fran said to me, "You should add the Jacobson because you sound more Jewish, and Jews are funny." So we added the Jacobson.
Yeah. Okay. Well. What's wrong with a little bit of Jewishness?
A lot's nice too.
Of course. Myself, I'm half Jewish, half Italian. My very good friend, who's also a drag queen, Alexis Swain, tells me I'm a pizza bagel. Because I'm half Jewish, half Italian. So I'm a pizza bagel. All right. Then after Wonder Woman was Gorp in 1980, a comedy. Fran was also in it. I think that was probably was that one of the very first things that the two of you were actually in together?
Yeah, and the reason I got the part was because it was a low budget movie, but It had Dennis Quaid was one of the stars, Michael Lembeck and Philip Kasnoff and Rosanna Arquette.
Let me tell you, Michael Lembeck, back then, he did like a kids Saturday morning thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Captain Cool. I had the biggest crush on Michael Lembeck.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
Yeah, and a really nice guy and really talented director.
Oh my goodness! Yes, he directed a lot of Friends episodes, right?
Yeah, a lot of television in the 90s.
A lot of television,
yeah. He's a very, very talented guy, and his dad was Harvey Lembeck, who is a wonderful comic actor, and we were all in this movie together, and they needed to cast this part, and my very smart agent, John Crosby at the time, called up the producer and said, "Listen, you liked him, but you don't have it. You're going to hire local. He's married to Fran. Why don't you don't have to do anything but pay him, and they'll stay in the same room." That's how I got the part. That's how Hollywood works, kids.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
That's right. It's who you sleep with.
Well, when your very good friend Todd Graff was on my last episode, I was saying how, like the Graffs are sort of like their own little, entertainment dynasties. So
yes,
it's like it seems like a lot of Hollywood is like that. It's all these little family, royalty entertainment groups. So, but
yes.
But every business is like that. Electricians and plumbers, and it's all the same, right?
Yes.
Oh, and of course, then you did a movie, Battle Creek Brawl, with Jackie Chan.
Yeah. He didn't speak English at the time either.
Oh, my.
It was all done phonetically. And and I had a roller skate in a roller skating race. It was a brawl. But again, it's like, I didn't know how to roller skate. So I took some quick, lessons, and it was fun to do because he was a really nice guy, and it was a fun movie, but not one of my finer performances.
It paid the bills, right?
I was grateful to do it.
Let me ask, when you were up for the part, did they ask you, can you roller skate? And of course you said,
oh yeah, definitely. I race. I was once up for a Broadway show, Crazy something, and it was a big show, and the guy had to sing and tap dance, and I can sing, but I've never tap danced. Okay. So I auditioned, and they said, "Well, bring him back. We want to bring him back. We really liked him. Harry Groner's up for the part too, who can sing and really tap dance." So I told my agent, I cannot go back in because I've never even put on a pair of tap shoes. Oh, so wow. I sometimes the lying doesn't really work.
Oh, wow. So what can you do? Some things just turn out that way. They just turn out that way. Then there was a movie, Lunch Wagon, in 1981.
Wow, you're really digging them up.
Oh, I am like an excavator, Peter.
I don't even remember what that was about, but it had something to do with a lunch.
Oh, should I tell you? It's about 3 women that start a lunch wagon business but run into stiff resistance from their competitor, Mr. Schmeckler.
Sounds like a porno film.
I know, right?
Yikes.
I think that was one of those, those back at that time in the 80s, they were just like churning stuff out, and it didn't matter because it was like, I remember, for me at that age, it was like, that's all you did on the weekends. It was like, sometimes it was like 3 movies in a weekend. You did Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you wanted a different.
I don't even know if these movies ever made it to a theater.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. Who knows? Who knows? Then, of course, as far as what I can see, your first appearance on a sitcom was in Too Close for Comfort.
That was a pilot. It was a spin-off of that show where I played Dick Van Patten's son with Jonathan Prince as my brother, and my father was marrying Ted Knight's, I think, friend or something, no, my father was marrying a younger woman. So that was the sitcom premise. It was, you can see it on, it plays on those reruns of Too Close for Comfort. That was cute.
So did you get to work at all with Ted Knight and Jim Bullock?
Nancy Dussault. We go to P-Town, and one day I walked over to Nancy Dussault and I called her Aunt Nancy because that was she played my aunt. And he was like so shocked that because it was many years later. I was playing like an 18-year-old, but she remembered, and she is the nicest person and so talented. She's great.
It's always nice when you hear about, people in the entertainment industry when other people say, how nice they are.
No, she's the doll. They were all sweet. They were all really nice. And when you go onto somebody else's set to do a spin-off, it's difficult. But, everybody, Ted Knight was wonderful. Who was playing with? Van Patten was wonderful. They were all great. It was a lovely experience.
And then you did a show called Emerald Point, NAS.
That was with Andrew Stevens.
Oh, Andrew Stevens! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, he's a handsome man.
He was a big heartthrob of mine in that day. Oh my goodness, Andrew Stevens!
Yeah, still a handsome man, and he was very nice also. And it was about I think military school or something. And we were I was one of the Jewish military students, I guess. One.
I often wonder, a lot of these military movies, the guys doing it, they're all actors. They're all coming from, theatrical stuff, and it's like, is there any sort of like dichotomy that it's like, when you have to, put yourself into that kind of a thing where where he's playing somebody like so, rugged and macho and regimented, and it's.
They were busy patting us down so we didn't sweat.
Oh, okay.
It's a TV show.
So basically,
an Aaron Spelling show too, I think. So we had to look good.
Okay, so the hair was good.
Hair, a lot of makeup. We look good.
So it's basically it's like you're holding your gun and it's like, is my makeup okay?
Yeah, exactly. The placed in cheekbone areas,
contouring is everything. Believe me.
Yes, we all look very handsome on, or try to at least.
Yes. You also did Dynasty. Speaking of Aaron Spelling, you were on Dynasty. One of my most favorite shows. Like I was a diehard Dynasty fan. I could never miss an episode. What was that like?
Very excited to get that because everyone was trying to get on that show. And they wrote in this role of Rock Hudson's steward on his private plane. And I got the role. And we filmed 1 or 2 episodes, and that is the same time where he was not well.
Oh.
So he left the show. So there was no need for a steward on his
unfortunately. When Rock went, they didn't need you.
No, I went, exactly. Rock was much more important than I. And but again, a lovely man. Really, he was so nice. I remember my tie was crooked, and he straightened it out for me, and he was just a lovely, lovely person. And
I always got the feeling there's just certain people when you see them on the screen, you just get a feeling from them that you know that they're a good person.
Yeah, I mean, and he was like a super movie star. I mean, he was just
of course,
bigger than life, giant man, and
right.
Lovely, lovely person.
Well, that's
from what I met,
right. Well, somebody like that. I mean, you hear things about in the entertainment industry. Sometimes on certain shows, guest stars come on and they're not treated that well by the regulars, and so
yes. Well, we made sure on the Nanny that everybody was treated really, really nice because of that, and we had some amazing guest stars on that show.
Yes, you did. I do want to talk about that, but I don't want to get.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. We're still in my 20s, I think.
I know. We have a long way to go.
Yeah, a long way to go, folks. Put your feet up.
Now, you did this movie in 1985. Movers and Shakers with Walter Matthau, Charles Grodin, Vincent Gardenia, Tyne Daly, Bill Macy, and one of my biggest idols, Gilda Radner.
Yeah, that was directed by William Asher, who directed all the I Love Lucy.
Wow. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And I met him a couple of times through, I think it was Fern Champion and the casting director. And he really liked me, and he liked what I was doing in the auditions. I played this yes man, and in the movie, and he hired me, and I got to work with all those people, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you get to work with Gilda Radner at all? I have to ask about her. Just quickly, I'm just going to say she was like, she was always my idol, but also like my mother adored Gilda Radner, and unfortunately, my mom is no longer with us, so that's why I have such a love for her.
Yes, I honestly don't think she was in any of the scenes I was in. Mine were with Walter and Charles and those guys, because I was a board member. I was working at the company, and so no, I don't think she was there the days I was working. No.
So you didn't get to meet her at all, or?
No, I don't think I ever met Gilda.
Oh, too bad. Oh well, that would have been. I would have loved to. If you had, I would have loved to hear it. But
yeah, I'm
sorry. Sammy. Okay, on to the next. Then the next thing you did was the Colbys. So you still working with Aaron Spelling, I see.
Yeah, I don't remember what I did on the show.
I can tell you.
Oh, what was it?
Anesthesiologist.
Oh my God.
Which I'm sure made your mother happy. She's probably like, my son is playing a doctor. He's playing a doctor.
Yeah, I don't know. You just said it, and it's bringing back some memories, but I honestly don't remember. It wasn't a very large role.
Well, anesthesiologist, it's like you could always say, I'm not a doctor, but I played one on TV.
Yes. Oh, I played many doctors.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Then another sitcom, The Facts of Life.
Yep.
Charlotte Rae is girls.
Lisa Welchel, who played Blair, was in my acting class.
Mm-hmm.
And she was such a great girl. She was very talented, and she liked my work. Mm-hmm. And she introduced me to the producers, and they wrote this part, and I played it. It was this hairdresser who was really kind of like this New York guy, but he put on an accent to pretend he was French. Mm-hmm. At the spa, and rather broad, but it was fun to do. I loved doing it, and I'm so grateful that she that she went out of the way to push for me to do this thing. A lot of people don't do things like that. They don't have to. And it's like, but she really was a lovely lady.
Mm-hmm. Then I see you did a movie called Dangerous Love. And one of the people in that was Angeline, that blonde that's always in the red convertible that drives around LA. Do we have any memories of that?
I honestly don't know. I don't even remember her. She was in the movie.
She's listed. I guess it was a minor role, but
I don't think she really had a speaking part. I don't know. That was with Elliot Gould and Lawrence Monason, who was the last American Virgin.
Oh yes, I remember that movie.
I played a murderer. Now you don't have to see it.
You were the murderer. Okay.
A kind
Spoiler is ruined, people. I'm sorry. He was the killer. What can I say? Then you also did. I think this was a TV movie, Love and Betrayal, with Stephanie Powers and David Burney.
Yeah, Fran was in that.
Yes, that's right. Yes, you played Clyde, and Fran was also in that. So another little thing where the two of you were together.
Yeah, I don't remember that one either. I'm so sorry.
Well, Caroline Landry's husband has a sudden midlife crisis, and their idealistic 20-year marriage breaks apart.
Sounds good. I should watch. I don't know. It's a long time ago.
It was a long time
I don't
ago.
remember what I had for breakfast anymore.
I know. Well, these days, the days, the months, everything now. I tell everybody, everything now is before mask and after mask.
Yeah,
that's basically how we
define.
define.
Remember anything?
Yeah,
Nothing.
My husband and I. That's how we define everything. I'm like, was that before we were wearing the masks or after? You also did an episode of Booker with Richard Grieco.
Yes, he was a very handsome guy.
Oh my goodness! Oh, I can remember. I can remember like the promo of that. Wasn't it like he walks out of the shower and he just has like a towel on, and he had amazing abs. At least back then. At least back then. You did an episode of Murphy Brown.
Yes, I played. I played a guy who was undercover for a prostitution ring, and Murphy played undercover as a hooker. And we would end up in bed together and trying to get a story from each other. And that's a cute one. That one you can look up.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one thing. Like the Nanny, Murphy Brown always had like the writing was always just so good, and the stories were always so funny.
Thank you.
What can I say? Then you were also in Generations. You were in a soap opera.
Yeah.
You played an interior decorator.
There you go.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. It was. Soap operas. I remember we did this scene where a bomb goes off in the house. But for some reason they did it backwards, and they filmed the part where the bomb already went off before the dinner party, and they already ruined the set. So it was like, it was such a bizarre, it wasn't on for very long, that song.
No, I don't think it was. It's like, because I was a big, like, All My Children fan, and I was like, Generations, I was like, I vaguely remember
to test
that.
For all of those shows, and I never got the part, but I always screen tested for them.
What can you do?
Yeah.
Then, Peter, I think this is one of the things where you were the lead role. You were the star. A little Italian movie back in 1990 called Desire with Josie Bissett from Melrose Place.
Yes, it was a very sexy little film.
Now, Peter, I have to ask, because if there is, I gotta hunt this down. Is there any like a little hiney showing in that one? No, not of you.
Just my back.
Just your back. Oh well.
Yeah, that you can see. Yeah, you don't have to spend the $6 for it.
Well, Peter, if you and I ever worked together on something and it called for a nude scene, I mean, I would have to seriously consider it. And I mean, if it was integral to the character and tastefully done, I would do it with you. I would do it.
There you go. Well, you're an artist.
Just don't tell my husband. Don't let him know. Don't let him know. There was another sitcom you did called Babes. I think I remember seeing.
It was about 3 women, and they were all
three like heavy-set sisters.
Yes, and I played one of their boyfriends.
You played one of the boyfriends. Who was it? Wendy Jo Sperber?
No, it was
the other sister,
the youngest one.
The youngest one. Okay.
I forgot her name, but she was also really sweet, and I got to sing on it with her, so that was fun.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, that must have. Well, that's another thing that I do want to talk to you about is because I don't know if everyone knows that you're also a singer, but I do want to talk about that. And we are going to talk about it right after we take just a quick little break right now for our, our sponsors. I call them sponsors, but, they're not really sponsors, but don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone, okay? But we're going to be right back after these words with more of producer, writer, creator, singer, actor, Mr. Peter Marc Jacobson. Right after these words. Hello, welcome back to Talking Tony. Joining me today, my very, very special guest, Mr. Peter Marc Jacobson. You may know him as the executive producer and one of the creators of The Nanny. So, Peter, I scoured IMDb. I was asking you all sorts of questions from the past, all the acting that you did. But as I read in the little IMDb bio, which you wrote, which was very humorous, you reached the point where you did not want to act anymore.
Well, I wasn't, it was, I was working, but not really hitting it in a big way. So I had created a television show for Fran and Donna Dixon with Eve Branstein years and years ago, an idea I pitched to her that she turned into a TV show, I should say. And it came very easy to me. And my managers kept saying, why don't you write some more? It comes easy to you. So I came up with this idea for a show for Dan Aykroyd, and I showed it to him. He liked it. He sold it to Fox, and we made it. And that same time, we sold The Nanny.
Oh.
So it was coming very easy to me that I just said, well, maybe I should just stick with this and not go back to acting, which was driving me crazy, and I was getting very neurotic. And I just said, you know what? And the producing, I felt very comfortable with.
Now, I remember Dan Aykroyd was on The Nanny, wasn't he?
Yes. He's a dear friend, and he, he gave me that break by making that show that I came up with, and we wrote it together and sold it to Fox, and it actually got made and bought for a season, but something happened contractually and we didn't make it. But I was very lucky because it was the same season that The Nanny came out, so I got to do that one. So it was, I was very lucky and grateful, and that all this was happening to me. So the universe was kind of saying, go in this direction, and I didn't fight it.
Now, of course, so many people love The Nanny, and even though it was a sitcom done in the it was like the mid '90s, wasn't that the time frame?
93 to 99.
It still airs, it's all the reruns and syndication, are still on. And actually, I was watching on YouTube. I was watching some Nanny stuff today, and it's amazing how it's still just so laugh out loud funny.
Thank you.
And there's
writers.
There's so many comedies that I don't really watch a lot of sitcoms anymore because so many of them are just like the only laughing is from the laugh track. I'm not laughing. Excuse me. But The Nanny is one show that I can watch, and even if it's episodes that I've seen multiple times, it's still laugh out loud funny.
Thank you. Yeah, we hear that a lot, and I'm very grateful for it. We work really hard to make it funny. We work very late hours, and I've worked on other shows where people would settle for jokes that I thought were okay. But I would always call them, good ideas. Now let's really make it funny, and that takes a lot of work and a long time of sitting there with a bunch of writers until it hits. But when it hits, it's magic. And, I guess the proof is in the pudding that it's still relevant and still makes people laugh today. Absolutely. And most sitcoms go away, but knock on wood, this one keeps on going and people still stop us and still love it and still watch it. And the big compliment is, when I feel down, I turn it on and I feel good again. So,
yeah. And as I told you, this is the one thing about The Nanny. It was like all the characters were so good. It wasn't like, like like a lot of shows where like one character is like so important and the rest are sort of like throwaway. It was like every character and of course all the performers were just so good and such an integral part of the show. And of course, as I told you, my favorite character really it was Renee as Sylvia Fine. Yes, it's true. And I tried to hide it, but she was just so funny from the get-go. And
when we were kids, we met Renee, and we actually saw a movie that she did called Made for Each Other with Joe Bologna, and we said to each other then, this woman someday is going to play your mother. And talk about putting it out in the universe. And network didn't want her at first. They wanted Sheila McRae. And we said, and we love Sheila McRae, but we said she's just not right for this part. It's a Jewish woman from Queens. And but they wouldn't let us hire her, so we hired her as a guest. Oh. And she, did so amazingly well that eventually another sitcom wanted her, and they grabbed her, the network, and made her a regular. She got Emmy nominations, and she's brilliant.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They all were.
Yes, everybody on the show, all the characters as written, and of course the actors that portrayed them were just so good. One of the guest stars that I always loved was Lainey Kazan as Sylvia's sister.
Yeah.
I was whenever she was on. Oh my God, it was just so hysterical. I love Lainey Kazan.
Great, she's so sweet. We just had the reading from the Nanny the musical, and in New York, and no, it was here. I'm sorry. And she read a role in it, and she was awesome. She's terrific.
I actually watched the you all reading the pilot episode. Yes, on YouTube, and it was it's still even you guys just reading it, it's still so funny.
Thank you.
So just amazing. Now, one of the things I discovered, there's a lot of nanny shows out there, Peter. There's a Russian nanny. I think there's an Argentinian nanny, a Chilean nanny, a Polish nanny. It's like the nanny is like she's taken over the world.
Yes, it's the same show, but with different people all over the world. And it's amazing. You can see some of them online. It's the same kind of set, same types of costumes. It's the show, and it also plays our show too at the same time, which is interesting. So wherever we travel, and if I'm with Fran, it's like all over the world they know who she is. It's amazing. They love that show.
Now these foreign versions of the Nanny, do you have a lot of hand on work on those, or you?
They would put one of the writers from the show, they'd send them, I think, to the country to help put it up there. But no, we were we had nothing to do with it. They were basically copied the ones we did with some changes. So I didn't speak the language, so I wouldn't have understood it. So and I think we were both doing something else at the time. Probably getting divorced, I think.
It's just when I saw that though, I was just like so amazed. Which really it's a testament, I think, to the heart of the show that people all over they can do that same show all over the world, and people just love the concept and love the idea of it.
It's a classic Cinderella show. Fran was amazing in it. It was just tailor-made for her, all her strength. She's such a good comedian. She's so good. And everyone, the cast was, Daniel was amazing. Vieta was amazing.
And
Holly.
Gilbert as Yetta. Oh my God, she was just so funny. I
Such a
think
good actress.
I think the first episode she did was when they were trying to scare Bryson from
Right.
Bryce from doing the from smoking.
Yes.
From smoking, so they take him to see Yetta, who's like I don't know, like a 3-pack a day smoker.
She was so good. So good. We were so lucky to have her. And what a lovely person too.
I think that's probably one of the things about the show. It's like you get just such a warm feeling, from the show, which I don't think that's something that can't really be manufactured. It's just got to have heart, or it's not there.
Yeah, it all came together. With show business, you can do it all right, but if it doesn't have that magic, it just doesn't work. If people don't come to the party, it doesn't happen. And this one just kept going along in a very positive way, and we were all so lucky to be on that ride. It rarely happens. So when you get on a hit, you've got to be grateful. I remember somebody complaining once, and I said, well, if this is what you want to do for a living, this is as good as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting picked up for 2 years at a time. The show is a hit. Enjoy it or do something else.
Right.
Because it's not going to get better than this.
Right. And now, Peter, you and Fran also then reunited a few years later. You did Happily Divorced. I think that was for TV Land, right?
Yes.
And I got to tell you, I loved that show as well.
Thank you.
Coincidentally enough, I was also married, and in a heterosexual marriage, and also came out and got divorced and all that. So that was I could relate to a lot of that story, which that particular story is, a lot of that came directly from you and Fran.
Yeah. It was, Fran had gone to TV Land to sell ideas for a TV show, and then the head of the network said to her, well, if you were going to be in it, what would you do? And she said, well, that's easy. It would be me and my ex-gay husband's relationship. And she said, so do you want to hear my ideas? And they said, no, we bought that one. And we were on for a few seasons, and I saw some of them recently, and it was a really cute show. Really,
it was. I love that show. And Rita Moreno played Fran's mother in that, correct?
Yes.
She was fabulous.
Fabulous, and a fabulous lady and a fabulous actress. When you think of a Jewish mother, you don't think of Rita Moreno.
No.
And she said, let me come in and read. Mm-hmm. Usually actresses of that caliber, of that fame, want an offer. And she came in and read and was hysterically funny, mm-hmm. and got herself the part because she wanted it. Mm-hmm. And other people would not do that. They said, no, I just make an offer. But, I think that's something young actors need to look at, because mm-hmm. Here you have a huge star, an EGOT winner, and she wanted that part, so she went after it.
Yeah. I think she's one of the few people who have ever won Oscar, Grammy, and Emmy.
Everything.
Right? Everything
you can win.
Right. And coincidentally enough, because your good friend Todd Graff, who was on my last show, I was reminiscing with him, and when he was a kid, he did Zoom, and Rita Moreno was on that with him.
No, it was the Electric Company.
Oh, that's right. I'm right. The Electric Company, not Zoom. I'm thinking Zoom because we're on Zoom. But yes. I'm sorry. The Electric Company. I just think
he's a little kid.
Yes, it's so funny how they're all these sort of things tie in together.
I know. Listen, I watched all these people on television in Queens when I lived there, and I remember when Elizabeth Taylor was on The Nanny, mm-hmm. and I'm sitting there staring at her. Not obviously, I hope, But thinking to myself, how the hell did this happen?
And I know it still bothers Renee to this day that Elizabeth would not let her, try on the huge diamond.
No.
I've seen her talk about that. One of the things, one of the episodes of Happily Divorced that I always remember is when you brought Charles Shaughnessy, who was Mr. Sheffield on the Nanny, on one of the episodes.
That was my favorite episode.
Mine too. He wanted to get Fran's character and the actor playing her husband. He wanted to get the two of them into bed together.
Such a good episode. I love that episode. That was a show that we always showed the audience when they come to see the show, because I just always made me laugh. They were so good, and Charlie is so brilliantly talented.
Yes, I just love that. But was there ever like a germ of truth to that? Was there anyone who ever wanted you and Fran together?
No, that I don't. I think once we met somebody when we were married, and they came over to the house for dinner, and they were very flirtatious to both of us. We were young, so we didn't quite get it. But now that I look back at it, I think they wanted more than dinner.
Well, hey, I figured, you were living in LA, and everything's kind of wild there. So
we were like two 40-year-old married couple at 18. It was weird. It was like didn't go to any parties or any of that stuff then. We were very kind of stayed home and cooked and watched television and try to come up with ideas for sitcoms.
Now, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember exactly, but it was during when the Hollywood writer's strike was going on. And I remember Fran went on the Joan Rivers show, and she had a business that she was doing at the time.
Yeah.
What was that business you guys were doing?
We were making croutons.
That's right.
Yes, we had to find a way to pay the bills, so we made stale bread. We sold them in the stores, and we go out and sell samples. And eventually, another company bought it out from us, or leased it out from us. And that was when the Nanny started happening, because we didn't have time to do it any longer. But we'd go sit in the bakery all weekend and cut bread and bake them and make them and wash them.
Well, for Jewish people, bread goes with everything. I mean, you can have a good crouton. You can even have croutons with your bread. I mean, bread just so crouton comes from bread, so therefore,
Loaf and Kisses, it was called.
Oh, Loaf and Kisses! What a cute name.
Yes.
Oh, but I guess that was you weren't going back to the hairdressing at that point, so.
No, we still cut people's. We used to cut our friends' hairs just for I mean, right now I'm cutting my dermatologist's hair.
Oh.
And because he can't get a haircut, and Fran used to cut Dan Aykroyd's hair, Dennis Quaid's hair, a bunch of people's hair when we were all hanging out back in the day.
That's so funny. So let me ask you, Peter, what is on the horizon right now? I think I correct me if I'm wrong. I read something about a Broadway musical idea that you're working on. We're
doing the Broadway musical of The Nanny.
Oh, you are?
Yes. And Rachel Bloom, who was the star and creator of Crazy Ex, girlfriend, is doing the music and the lyrics. And Fran and I are writing the book. Mm-hmm. And we're in development, and hopefully in the next year we'll have something out there. When Broadway reopens, please God. So I'm working on that, and I'm doing a show called Country Comfort for Netflix.
Yes, I have to ask you about that, Peter.
Yes.
Now, please describe it for me.
Well, it's a nanny type show. It's not my show. The show was created by Karen Lucas, who worked on The Nanny and Happily Divorced, and we worked together on another show called What was it called? Oh, it was Amanda Bynes' show. That's what I'm getting.
Oh! It was. Wait, I can find it. I can find it. I know I have it somewhere. I know what I like about you.
I like about you.
I knew I had it.
She was the executive producer on that. She hired me on that, and she sold the show to Netflix called Country Comfort with Catherine McPhee. It's kind of like The Sound of Music.
Yes.
And Eddie Cibrian and a bunch of young, wonderful, talented kids who formed like a singing group. And she called me and asked me if I'd like to come on board and work with her on this show. And so we went over to we've been working at Netflix, closed down halfway through our tapings. And I think next 2 weeks we're supposed to go back again and start without an audience.
Oh, terrific. So it's sort of like, so it's sort of like, has some elements of the Nanny, but there's also a little bit of Sound of Music. And if the kids form a group, I'm detecting a Partridge Family vibe.
It's more Partridge Family than anything.
Oh, the Partridge Family. Oh my goodness. David Cassidy from the 70s.
Good looking cast members on this one too. And it's and Karen Lucas created it, and it's been, I love working with her, and she she's an amazing writer and talented, and so very excited to be working with her on this.
And you're the executive producer on that?
On this one, I'm the co-executive producer.
Co-executive producer. Okay.
I'm the co-executive producer.
Okay.
Well, I am loving. She gets all the stress. And I get to be creative and work with her, and she's unbelievable. She's so good.
Oh, it sounds amazing. I really can't.
It's a fun show. I think you'll like it.
Oh well, I'm gonna be binge watching it as soon as it hits on Netflix. I will be there.
Yes, and Netflix is great to work for. They're a wonderful group of people.
Well, this actually gets to go out on Amazon Fire, just so you know. So we're
nice.
We're like
love Amazon.
I love Amazon.
Everything in this room is from Amazon.
Same. Basically, everything on me is Amazon. I'm a walking Amazon billboard.
Dangerous.
I do want to ask you though. Now, doing a Broadway musical version of The Nanny, considering back when you were a kid that you had that love of going to the theater, is this like a real dream come true for you to be doing that? Absolutely.
This is what I've been wanting to do, and to have these wonderful characters to do it with, and it's so much fun, and it opens up the world to them. And it's like in The Nanny, there was one butler.
Right.
That whole huge house. Here we
go.
Butlers and people, and it'll be a different cast, but another wonderful singing cast. And I think it'll be a good time to see. It'll make you laugh.
Oh, I'm sure.
She's such a brilliant lyricist. She writes such funny lyrics and smart. And so I think this is going to be, good.
Oh, I'm sure it will be a hit. I'm kind of wondering though, thinking of the Nanny character and the voice and singing, I'm like,
well,
you have a challenge there.
Yes. Well, and we don't want somebody to do an imitation of Fran. We want our own New York girl. That'll have their own thick New York accent, but think of like a young little Streisand,
Streisand!
If you know one, let me know.
Streisand! he has said the name.
Yes. Your queen. My queen.
Barbara Streisand. Yes, we love Barbara Streisand.
Yeah, she's lovely too.
So
I've met.
You've met Barbara Streisand. Oh my goodness! Wait, let me try to draw some Streisand energy.
She's great. She's exactly what you see. A Jewish girl, funny. We went to go backstage after a concert. Well, two things. This is real. You'll like the story, but before we met her, we went to see we went to see her first farewell concert, the very first one at Madison Square Garden. And we bought the tickets before the Nanny because we couldn't afford anything. We got like the last row in Madison Square Garden. But we had the tickets, and the Nanny had just started going on the air. Now this is in the time when, 9-10 million people would watch it at a time. So we go take our seats, and all of a sudden on the Tron, they show Fran in her seat. And everyone starts screaming, Fran, Fran, Fran. And we're looking around, and 2 security guards tap on our shoulder and said, come with us. And we're like, we didn't do anything. And they just come with us. And he brings us to the second row and gives us 2 seats and says, sit here. And I, like an idiot, say, well, what if the people whose seats these are come in the middle of the show? We don't want to miss it. And he said, don't worry about it. He said, Barbara wants to meet you after the show, a friend. So now we can't wait for the show to be over because we get to meet her. So we sit there through the whole show, and it was amazing, of course. So we go back there, and everything's in this white tent. And out she comes, this, Barbara Streisand. And she was so lovely and so sweet, and knew Renee because they used to work together years ago. And she was so wonderful, and she sent us home in a limo.
Wow.
And we looked at each other, Fran and I, after that, and said, well, I guess things are going to be a little different from now on, because we came on the train.
You went on the train and you left in a limo. Now, that's a Cinderella story in itself.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. Yeah.
And of course, Barbara was your fairy godmother. How apropos.
Yes, she was lovely. Really lovely.
Oh. Well, Peter, I can't believe it, but, our time is almost up. I told you it goes so fast. I do want to thank you so much. You are such a wonderful guest.
My pleasure.
If you ever need a singing drag queen, there's one right in Ronkonkoma, Long Island. You know where to find me.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
And honestly, I work much cheaper than RuPaul. My demands list is only half of hers. So it would be much easier on you, Peter.
You're in my Rolodex.
You'd be doing yourself a favor. What can I say?
I know.
Well, Peter, I want to thank you so much. You were such a terrific sport here today. And actually, where a lot of the people I have on, they have their Instagram and Facebook and all that. Where can people find Peter Marc Jacobson?
You can find me at official Peter Marc Jacobson on Instagram.
On Instagram. There, you heard it right here. Official Peter Marc Jacobson on Instagram.
Yes.
There you go. All right. Well, Peter, again, thank you so much. This was so wonderful. This was a dream come true for me. So I just want to thank you
very kind
so
of you.
much.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone who tuned in today. And I will see you next Thursday on my Naughty or Nice program. And following that, one more week, it's back here on Strong Island TV for another episode of Talking Toni with my very special guest, director Flavia Alvarez, the director of The Garden Left Behind. I cannot wait to have him on. But this is all for tonight. Thank you again, Peter Marc Jacobson. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a wonderful night. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Twilly-dilly-dee, 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 tweet, 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 tweet.
She talks to the people all night long, chatting and a-gabbing and a-singing her song. All the divas down on Rainbow Street love to hear Toni go tweet, tweet, tweet. Talking Toni.
Tweet, tweet,
Talking Toni.
tweet, twilly-dee.
Whoa, Talking Toni gonna really talk tonight.